Brian Costanza. Man, it's an honor to have you here. Thanks for coming.
Thanks for having me.
You know,
Really
when we
appreciate it.
first started this, I knew your story was going to be one that we had to hit. You know, made national news. I followed it. Anybody in Oklahoma followed that story, which we'll get to in a bit. But it's great to meet you. Again, thanks for coming.
Hey,
I'm going to kind of do a quick intro, and then we're going to go into what I'd like to do is kind of talk about where you grew up, you know, early life, family, what led you into law enforcement, and then we'll go from there.
Yeah, man. I grew up in rural Okmulgee County, very small community called Twin Hills.
Oh, yeah.
And like I grew up on a cutting horse ranch, and like you know, just a country kid, and rode a lot of horses, and lived on a farm, and cleaned a lot of stalls, hauled a lot of hay, and you know, just living a country life. And went to a very small school. You know, Twin Hills is pre-K through 8th grade. It was a mile from the house, and you know, I went there all the way to 8th grade and played sports, played basketball, and you know, ended up going into high school playing sports. And yeah, man, I like you know, just a typical Oklahoma kid. You know,
Did you have any law enforcement? I mean, family in law enforcement, or?
no, not at all. I had an uncle in Louisiana that we went and visited every summer. We'd go to Louisiana couple weeks out of the year in the summertime, and I can remember him like having these handcuffs hanging by the bar. Okay, and soon as I got there, I would play with those, you know, from a little kid all the way, you know, up until you know, early teenage years, right? Like always played with them. And I always thought that like he was a deputy at one time, but I come to find out he was like a reserve deputy for like the local parish down there. And you know, he was big into guns. Like he had gun displays and stuff throughout the house. He had a safe in the back with you know, old guns and shotguns and stuff like that. Like these awesome like double barrel chrome looking, you know, shotguns and stuff. So I would go back in the back and I would, you know, I'd play with them, you know. So like the fascination of that just, I think, you know, was already leading me down the path that God had already chosen for me. And, you know, and I'll just say that right off. Like I knew as a young kid, right? I'm the stereotypical cop, right? Like I knew early age, you know, 3rd grade is the earliest I can remember somebody asking me, hey, what do you want to do when you grow up? And I was like, I want to be a cop, you know, and that answer never changed. And as much as my mom wanted it to be, you know, pushing me to like physical therapy, I was like, nah, that doesn't sound like, that just doesn't sound right. And in high school, I started riding with troopers. And I'll back up a little bit. So when I was 10, one of our horses had gotten out and got hit by a car in front of the house. So a trooper had to come and work the crash. Well, I was down at the barn. So a trooper pulls up, it's dark time, and I can just remember him walking into the barn, right? His headlights are, you know, backlighting him, and he's walking in, he's got his hat on, and like slim waist, big chest, big arms, you know. I mean, like I looked at him and there's just I can still remember it to this day. And what's funny about that, him and I became partners like
Really?
later on. We sure did. I ended up riding around with him. He was one of my first ride-alongs. His son played high school ball with me. So we became really good friends and had a good relationship. And then again, riding around, you know, doing ride-alongs with him all the time. And then eventually we ended up becoming partners.
That's cool.
Yeah.
That's real cool.
Yeah. Yeah.
I remember I did a ride along in college. I always wanted to go to the Marine Corps. and couldn't because I had asthma. But I did a ride along with Oklahoma City officer Tom Piccione, and man, I knew like the minute I got in that car, and then of course as the night went on, the day went on, it was like, wow, this is awesome.
Yeah,
Like you get paid to do this.
exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And
So what after high school, did you go directly in, or did you go to college somewhere? Or
so I ended up going 2 years to Connor State, and then I took a year off of school, worked at a factory for about 6 months or so, and just trying to save money up so I could go back to college. I was going to go to East Central University down in Ada, and you know, I had to save up for it, right? So there wasn't no loans weren't on my deal. I was like, I'm not taking money out for this. I'll pay for it as I go. Well, I found out there was a local bank that would pay for your tuition if you were going to college. So I got hired on at a bank, and so I was a bank
nice.
teller. I worked at a bank in Bigsby for about 6 months. I transferred to Ada and worked at that. They had a branch in Ada, so I transferred down there and worked there for the next 2.5 years.
wow, and they paid your college.
They did.
Wow.
Yeah,
That's cool.
they paid my tuition. They paid for my books. And
Wow.
As long as I was making C's,
Yeah.
I was like, I can do that.
Yeah.
That's an easy deal. So yeah, I was very fortunate, and that's how I got through college. Yeah,
Wow.
went through their cops. They had a cops program down there, and that was the reason I wanted to go, because I heard that they had a really good criminal justice program. So I was like, yeah, that's where I'm going to go, and went through the cops program, and then once I graduated from the cops program, I'd put in for the highway patrol. Troopers had come in and did some recruiting. I put in for it, didn't get accepted my first time, and which is disappointment at the time. But again, I think it's just God going, hey, you're not yet.
Yeah.
I'm not saying no, I'm just saying not yet.
Yeah.
So I got hired on at the Okmulgee Police Department, had some friends that had gone there before and became troopers. So they had buddies that were there, so they put some good words in for me. And, when they hired me, they knew I wasn't going to stick around. They knew where I wanted to go, but they gave me a chance, which I extremely appreciated. And like, it gives me two sides of the spectrum, right? You know what I'm saying? Like, so at the police department, you've got to go in for roll call. You got to be there 30 minutes early before your shift starts. Maybe the equipment's not the best. The patrol cars aren't the best. Sometimes you got to buy your own gun. You got to do all that. And so I think that was a good learning point for me of like, because when you go to the patrol, like you earn everything. You go through the academy, and they put you through hell, right? Like it's tough. Like there's no doubt about it. It's a tough patrol school, but they provide you with great equipment, and but you don't have to show up for a briefing,
Right.
Like there is none of that.
You go 10-8 from
You go 10-8 from your driveway.
your driveway. Yeah.
Yeah, and so I think guys that haven't had that experience and understand like actually how good they have it. And like for me, it was like, hey, I really appreciate being a trooper. It's what I wanted to do, it's what I love to do. But I really appreciate the fact that the responsibility that's, handed to you, and like, we're going to trust you to do what's right, to go 10-8 when you're supposed to, and you can do that from your driveway. You don't have to go to some place and they check you off or something like you know what I mean. Like I don't have to have a face to face with my supervisor every single day.
Yeah.
And so that's a very very good perk to have as a trooper.
Did you have any brothers and sisters growing up, or was it just you?
No, I have one sister.
One sister.
One sister. Yeah.
I know kids growing up in rural areas, especially on farms, around horses, riding horses and stuff. Uh, it seems, and I had three daughters. They had horses barrel raced. Um, I think that gives kids a different work ethic. Um, do you think that had impact on, especially going into law enforcement, where the discipline has to be so high? Do you think that had growing up in that environment had a big impact on who you are today?
I would say without a doubt.
Mm-hmm.
And like, so my parents were pretty strict.
Mm-hmm.
And um, to the point where if they came home or like, dad's at the barn, right? If he came to the house and you were sitting down on the couch, you got in trouble. If mom came home from work, you were sitting down, you got in trouble, right? Like there's always something to do.
Mm-hmm.
There's none of this going to your room and just hanging out and playing video games. None of that stuff. Like they worked us.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And I think sports is kind of like was my outlet because that gave me a reason not to be at the house.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, because I knew if I was going to be at the house, you're working. And but with that being said, the work ethic behind that pays off.
Mm-hmm.
Like you learn how to work and work hard, and it's not going to be instant gratification. This is not a 10-minute job. This is a 6-hour job. And you're not going to, until you get it completed, you don't get to do anything else. Like we would have, at one time we had 30 outside horses. That's like paying customers.
Yeah.
And 2 barnfuls of stalls. One barn had 14 stalls in it. And then our indoor arena had 4 stalls on one side. And then we ended up building more stalls at the back end of the arena.
Wow.
Okay. So those were my responsibility.
It's a lot of work.
It's a lot of work. And if you wasn't cleaning the stalls right, Dad let you know about it, like real quick. So I've been doing a lot of work on myself and like my childhood lately. And because I have people ask me like, how was your childhood? I'll be like, oh man, it was great. I didn't get beat. You know what I'm saying? Like my dad wasn't an alcoholic, and there was none of that. There was no like, did I get ass whippings? Absolutely. Did I get spanked with reins, horse reins? Yeah, absolutely. Like you hit with halters and stuff? You bet. I took all those. And but I've come to find out like that's kind of shaped me into who I am. And I've come to the realization that like I got love from my parents when I did a good job, right? So it was like performance based. So I got validated if I did a good job. So I've kind of figured out like in this job, what we do, it's performance based. If you perform well, you're going to get, praise. You're going to get, these things. And not that don't get me wrong, I ain't looking for it.
Right.
But the fact is that I figured out how to work. I enjoy the process, and there's gratification behind performance, self gratification. Okay, like I don't go work for anybody else, if that makes sense.
Right.
Like I'm not trying to impress anybody.
Right.
I'm just trying to make myself like feel worthy of being in the spot where I'm at, and that is through like hard work. And I just, I don't know if that sounds weird or whatever, but
Totally makes sense.
yeah,
And that's, I think most of law enforcement is that they're there they're not there to prove to anyone else but themselves and do better than they did yesterday. And, unfortunately that's not all of law enforcement, but no, I totally get it.
Yeah.
And I can see, coming at my daughters, we had 4 horses, and just having 4 is a lot of work.
Yeah.
Every morning, take my daughters up to feed them before school and then take them to school. And having that many horses, and I'm sure you had a lot of other things going on. I mean, we just had indoor riding arena on 10 acres, and that was it. We just had the horses there. But living on it and having, I'm sure you had other livestock there around, and that's a lot of work.
Cattle, buffalo, goats. We had it all.
Yeah.
At one point in time.
Yeah. What year did you graduate college?
Graduated in September of 01.
And then high school? So you would have been around
96.
96.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
We're going to get into work. We're going to get into probably a little bit of the academy. I'm going to read this off first. This is just kind of a intro. You have extensive experience in high-risk operations, undercover assignments, notably with the Oklahoma Department of Public Safety in collaboration with the U.S. Marshals Fugitive Task Force. You demonstrated leadership in as a tactical team leader, excelling in firearms instruction, strategic planning. I think you are also a defensive tactics instructor.
I am.
A Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu brown belt. We're gonna get along great. I was a defensive tactics instructor for Oklahoma City. I've done judo for most of my life. So judo, jiu-jitsu.
It's a rough sport.
It is. You have to come down and train with us sometime. We have. So I own OKC Combat Sports with Ryan Piccolo, James Head, Travis Cerna, John Combs. So I don't get in as much as I need to or want to these days with everything else going on. I got 3 daughters. I'm getting my last one out of high school, but it is something that I want it to be a lifelong. I'll always probably be in the gym, and I do boxing more than anything now. But
what I figured out with like jiu-jitsu, right, is like it ain't going nowhere.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like there would be seasons where I dive really deep.
Yeah.
In it, right? And there's only so much time in the day. And maybe my focus is on, upping my jiu-jitsu game, right? And well, then what falls off? Well, there goes my firearms.
Yeah.
Because I'm not spending the time out on the range. Or, maybe my lifts are going, not by the wayside, but I'm not lifting as much as I used to. So there's like this constant battle of like, okay, what's the priority in your life right now? Is it being better on the mats? Okay, if it is, that's cool. But now you go to the range and you get frustrated because you haven't been out there.
Yeah.
So now I switch it. So now I'm going to the range more. Now my mat game is off, or, hey, I want to, start lifting heavier weights, or I want to do whatever, and then all that time you still got to be a dad. You still got to be a husband. You still got to go to ball games. You still got to go to work. You still got to take care of your house, mow the yard. Like, man, there's just so much going on. So it's just, like right now, I haven't made jiu-jitsu a priority in my life probably in the last, maybe 8 months, but it ain't going nowhere.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
That's true.
It's not going anywhere. Yeah. When I go back, sure. Am I going to take ass whippings for the next 2 months because I've been gone? Absolutely. I understand that. Yeah. But as soon as those 2 months are over and my timing's back, then it's going to.
I don't have burns all over my feet.
Yeah.
My feet.
Yeah. When I go to the shower and I'm like, oh, my feet hurt so bad. Yeah.
Yeah. That's a great point. That pretty much sums up my whole existence these days. It's like, it's just a balance of what I can do, with kids. And that's a great point.
Yeah.
And, it's hard to get everything in. I'm kind of at a point now. I had wrist surgery in January, and this wrist was bone on bone. They took out 3 bones, and trying to get back off of that. So I haven't been in, forever. Just now starting to get back in. Kind of started teaching kids judo again, trying to get out to the range because I think last week was the first time I shot, and I was real worried about that wrist because it feels great, but there's not a lot of, flexibility.
Yeah.
And it's really tight. So it's kind of worried about, I came out and shot some rifles, but
Yeah.
Handguns but shot last week and it's good. So,
hey, I'm with you, man. I dislocated these 2 fingers and I can't even straighten them out anymore. And, my grip strength is,
yeah.
I'm having to wear wrist straps in the gym now because I just can't hold on to what I could hold on before,
Yeah.
So grabbing a hold of people in jiu-jitsu right now is pretty tough.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, lucky you got those.
Yeah.
You got those
exactly.
two still work.
These are good. Yeah. But I'm with you, man. Like when I dislocated these and I was like, man, I wonder what the range is going to be like.
Yeah. Well, that's kind of was my fear. At one time, I was like, should I try to transition to left hand? I mean, it's just, then actually I had stem cell done on my wrist because it was bone on bone, hurting every day, every night, wake me up in the middle of the night. Couldn't hold my girlfriend's hand. Couldn't even open like water bottles.
Yeah.
And I had CRP done, cytokine-rich plasma. I had PRP done, protein-rich plasma on my wrist, and they told me it's probably not going to work because small joint, and tried it, didn't work. And with that, you have to stabilize it for, like a month. So I couldn't do anything. Didn't work. Kind of gave up on it, and I was to the point, and then I had CRP done, which is cytokine-rich plasma, and it really stimulates stem cell, your own stem cell. And I had it done about 3 weeks later. I noticed I was, could hold my girlfriend's hand longer. I started opening bottles. The daughters, hey, can you open this? And I was like, wow, this is awesome. So then I went and saw Dr. Kogar, and she was like, yeah, we can take that out, and made a huge difference. I mean, it's awesome. But I got to a point to where I was like, I'm gonna have to transition to the left hand, and now I think I'm good. But just I don't know how long it's gonna take me to get flexibility back.
Right.
So, but that's life. So
it can be frustrating.
Always something. So let's talk about the academy. So I'm real familiar with Academy, Oklahoma City's Academy. What was the Trooper Academy like?
So I went in 2002, so, I can tell you my experience of it. And, like it was definitely the toughest mental and physical really, thing that I'd ever been through. And, so our day would start at 4 a.m. We would get up. We'd get our beds made, and we'd be ready to fall in at 4:30. PT from 4:30 to about 6:30. Run up, shower, clean the third deck. They're yelling and screaming at you. You never have enough time to do anything, which is all the point, right? Mm-hmm. Like this controlled environment of just chaos. And
you guys lived. So that's just for the listeners, you lived at the academy.
We lived.
Versus us being able to go home at the end of the day.
Yeah, we absolutely lived there. There was no going home. I don't think we went home I think after the 7th week, they let us go home on Friday evening, come back Sunday at noon, and they would only give you on Sundays, before they started letting us go home, they would only give you Sunday off from about noon. They'd let you go around noon if you passed inspection, right? Mm-hmm. From noon till about 4. So you had 4 hours off. Family would come and pick you up. My sister would come and pick me up. And we would go either to the laundromat. So I bought 2 of everything. Whatever they said, I bought double.
Yeah.
So that way, whenever she would come and pick me up, everything I needed was already done. And then she would take it back and wash it for me and stuff like that. So sometimes I needed some extra things done, so we may run to the laundromat for a little bit, but for the most part, she would just take me and we would go a couple miles down the road. She had a young daughter at the time, less than a year old, and we'd park at a park and I'd just sleep in the truck, and they'd go out and play. Like, I was just so tired.
Yeah.
And then once we got to go home, a lot of times I would just like ride home with a buddy, because I didn't want my vehicle there.
Yeah.
I didn't want my truck there at all. I didn't want an excuse to leave and just go, I know that I can make this easy on myself. Just walk out to my truck and I can be gone. I was like, I just didn't want that in my life, because it's hard enough, so, I'd either ride home with a buddy or my sister would come and, pick me up and take me back. And there were some Sundays, man, that on the way back, or even before I left, like, it was a mental struggle, because I know what's coming. I know as soon as we get there, they're going to F us up. And, we did my academy, and it started in June. So we had a summer academy.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, we'd go flag detail at 5 o'clock in the evening. We'd get in trouble. They'd throw us down on that asphalt and just burn your hands, blisters on your hands from the heat. And like, it was rough, man. But it was all worth it. I mean, it really was. And like, if you go into the mindset of, hey, this is temporary. This is a 20-week academy for the next 25 years of your life. This is just a snap of the fingers, and this thing's going to be done. And so I just kept telling myself that, I was like, hey, this is all temporary. If I can get up at, 4:30, fall out, I just got to make it to breakfast. If I can make it to breakfast, I won. Okay, now I need to make it to lunch. Okay, I won again. Now I need to make it to supper. Okay, I won that battle. Now I just need to make it to bedtime. Yep, I'm there. Day's done. Right? And it's just those small little battles. Because if I was looking, we started in June and I didn't graduate till October the 30th. If I was looking from June to like, hey, when's October 30th coming? Like, that's just too much. It's just those small steps, those small wins. And, but after a while, you get in such good shape. You know what I mean? It doesn't matter really how long they smoke you for.
Yeah.
Like, hey, man, you're just making me stronger at this point, And so going through it at the time, I didn't realize like how much I was actually enjoying it, because I never really had that. That was the first paramilitary experience I'd ever had, and I liked it. Was there times where I thought, hey, I've had enough? You bet. But I never took that serious. It was just a thought in my head. I'm like, nah, I'm not quitting. There ain't no way. And, I had buddies, that were troopers, like, hey, if you quit, we're not friends anymore. I'm like, very well, so it's just a little extra motivation to do it. And, I wasn't going to fail, man.
Yeah.
Like, I just couldn't, I just like going through sports, 2 days in football and stuff like that. It's temporary. It's all mental, man. And, but really the hardest part I ever dealing with was the sleep deprivation. That was a tough part. Like, I was seeing images in class that weren't out there. Windows that I thought were windows weren't a window. It was the Oklahoma flag. You're just so sleep deprived, and you're sitting there writing notes, and before you know it, you're just drawing a line down your notepad, right? Like, guys are bumping you, and it's like, wake up, and I'm like, I'm awake.
Yeah.
Like, no, bro, you're asleep. So it was tough.
That's the biggest problem I had, was staying awake in the academy.
Yeah.
And I remember doing that. I remember writing, and then just next thing you know, it's just a line.
Yeah.
That's a great point on mindset and outlook, though. And that's one thing, going back to what we were talking about, like kids today. I actually heard a study the other day, and they were talking about how with depression, and they're talking about especially with kids, it's so important to have goals. And even if it's just a small goal, even if it's just gonna get up tomorrow morning and I'm gonna have breakfast by this time, and how that affects mental mindset. And that's a amazing outlook on going through something that is temporary. And like you said, in a lifetime, it's a blip.
Yeah.
So that's interesting.
Yeah.
So was your sister older than
Yeah.
you?
5 years older.
Y'all were pretty close, obviously.
Yeah.
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 Sounds
Definitely.
like it.
Yeah. Definitely. Not growing up.
Yeah.
Your true brother, sister.
Right.
She's 5 years older, so she's into high school, and I'm the little brother that likes to tag along and hang out with her friends, and because it's cool, right?
Mm-hmm.
So like we definitely had our fights, our screaming matches, our fist fights, like we got into it. She would whoop my ass, like always at the barn, right?
Oh, yeah.
And always.
Yeah.
And she would always just beat my ass.
Yeah.
And until that one day, where she found out she couldn't anymore, and then after that we were good.
Yeah.
So,
Talking about the barn, always at the barn, my daughters would fight at the barn. And one day I found out that my middle daughter had whipped my older daughter with one of the halters. And my older daughter, I heard about it later, and I was like, well, what'd you do? And she was like, nothing. I had a hold of the horse, so I just took it. I wasn't going to spook the horse. And
right.
so that really pissed me off. Mm-hmm. And later on that day, they got into another fight, and I was like, that's it, in the truck. Get in the truck. Took him up to the dojo, put headgear on him, put boxing gloves on him, got him on the mat. And they grew up doing judo too. Mm-hmm. And I said, all right, we're going to go. And here's the only rule. Once somebody goes down, you can't hit them while they're down. And I was like, go. And they were just swinging. I mean, it was like a minute of just pow, pow, pow. And of course, my oldest one just boom, middle went back. And I walked over and she was crying. And, she started jumping on her. I was like, no, I felt like I was in, UFC.
Yeah, exactly.
Throwing your body in there. Said, no, it's over. It's over. And my middle was laying on the ground. She goes, no, Dad, it's not over. And I was like, oh, crap. I was like, I've started something now.
Redemption time.
So I let him go one more time. And, of course, that time she got hit again, starfish on the mat. And she's like, why did you let that happen? And I was just like, it's done. But yeah, the barn always fight. But it is cool to see as they get older as a parent now. I don't know how many kids do you have now? I
have 2 boys and 2 stepchildren.
Oh, wow. So, yeah. So you probably seen, as they get older, it's cool to see that relationship. And especially, I don't know how the older, my oldest is 24, 21, now 17. And the 21 and 24 are just now starting to really kind of come around.
Yeah.
To where they can, appreciate each other.
Yeah.
And it's been a long road, but. So what, so you're in Okmulgee for a year, and you were talking about how that gave you a perspective once you went to OHP, but also what kind of perspective as far as work? Because it's totally different, I would assume. I mean, I know, working for a police department, highway patrol, there are a lot of similarities, but there's also a vast difference. In Okmulgee, did you, I'll just say this. Do you have a most memorable call, whether it's good or bad? And it can be either Okmulgee or OHP, but.
Well, just for, one of the experiences that at Okmulgee, I stopped this guy, and I'm young, like I don't know dick, you know, and, you know, I stopped this dude, and he's a violent guy. And, I end up getting like, I end up arresting him. He's got two pistols on him, like two, not like on him, not in the
Wow.
car. Like he's got two pistols actually on him. And I'm up there talking to him, and I'm like, "Hey man, you got any guns on you?" And, you know, luckily he's honest with me. He's like, yeah, I've got two on me, you know? So, you know, I really got to thinking about that. Was like, this dude, he's a gangbanger. He's a big guy. He's got two guns. I don't know nothing.
Mm-hmm.
How easy could I have been gotten? Probably pretty easy. And like, I'm really glad he didn't, because I don't know that I would have won that. I was not prepared for that at all. And I think about that all the time, of like, it's not a place I like to be. I don't like to be in a place that I'm not prepared for. And it's there, putting a gun on your hip and a badge on your chest, and guys that think that that's going to end all solve all, they haven't ran across the right person yet. It's coming. And then when that starts, there's nothing you can do about it. And the helpless feeling that you're going to have, if you survive it, that helpless feeling better haunt you, and you better do something about it later on. So like that was one of the things when we got done, and I was with that guy, I just sat back and I just thought about it. And I was like, I am not where I need to be. I wasn't physically where I needed to be. Like, I was in shape. Yeah. I mean, I'm 100, at that time I was like 172 pounds. I could run forever, but am I strong enough with this dude? No. Do I know enough on the ground to defend myself? Absolutely not. You know, I hadn't even started my jiu-jitsu game at that point. You know, they teach you that, you know, the cleat stuff, right?
Yeah.
That shit that don't work.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not arm barring that dude.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not doing none of that. That guy's punching me in the face is what he's going to do. You know, they wasn't teaching what they teach now.
Right.
You know, so that was pretty memorable for me.
So
That.
you brought up cleat. So at Okmulgee, did you have to go through cleat before getting on Okmulgee, or
I was already cleat certified through the COPS program.
through the COPS program at Altus
Uh,
or
at Ada.
Ada?
Yeah, Easton.
Okay. Okay.
And we did, like, you know, we had a DT week.
Yeah.
You know, we had custody and control. I mean,
Probably nothing like the trooper when you went through OHP.
no.
What did you do? Was it 2 weeks full in the trooper academy, or as far as defensive tactics, or
I think ours was. I think it was just one
week?
It was just 1 week on that. I think it was a Sunday through Friday.
Okay.
But throughout the academy,
Right.
there would be like an hour or two
Right.
designated, you know, maybe in the evening time or maybe during a PT session, they would introduce us to jiu-jitsu. And at that time, Trooper Reggie Callens, you know Reggie?
Yeah, Reggie.
He retired he's been gone, I think maybe 5 or 6 years now, but he was over the DT program.
Okay.
You know, great stand up.
Yeah, he was awesome.
Great ground guy. I mean, so he's the one that kind of introduced me to that in our academy, right? So, it was, it's evolved so much to what it is now, but you know, then it was more of, like stand-up stuff, some stand-up stuff, and then a lot of heavy on like the cleat standard of, you know, custody and control.
Yeah.
But we did do scenarios where the DT instructors and they'd whip your ass,
Oh,
you
yeah.
know, and they're yelling at you, use the techniques that you've been taught and stuff like that, right? So like it was good for that time. Would it be valid for today's? No. It's like anything else, man. It just
Evolves.
it evolves, just like the gun world. Equipment evolves,
Yeah.
gets better,
Yeah.
and so
I
yeah.
think even where we're at now, or where they're at now, you know, it's in a, you know, it's gotten so heavy on the ground game that now it needs to evolve a little bit more into something else than what it is today.
Yeah,
But today's better than yesterday,
absolutely.
you know. And I love the point you brought up earlier about, you know, recognizing that instance you had. I think as human beings, we're all, what really gets us is the what could have happened.
Yeah,
And whether you're in law enforcement or not, what could have happened when I did this, or what could have happened when I, you know, was in this car driving.
yeah.
And to be able to recognize that, was that something you recognized pretty like right off, or did it take a while to look back on that and say, oh shit, I need to get somewhere else?
No, I think it hit me like really, really
Immediately.
quick. Yeah, really quick. And now, did I know where to like start going to get that type of training? No, not yet.
Yeah.
You know, definitely not yet. But I think here's the way I've always like tried to handle myself, whether it's growing up, whether it's still to this day, and that is just being humble and having a lot of humility. Because if a guy's not that away, he doesn't recognize that dude that had the two guns that could absolutely take him anytime he wanted to, right? So if you're not carrying yourself in that type of mindset, there's no room for improvement for you. Because you think you know it all, you've done it all, nothing, you're invincible, I know enough, and you never evolve into where you need to be. And it's just a constant, it never stops. Even after, you know, 23 or 24 total years in law enforcement, like, I'm still evolving. I'm still finding plenty of holes in my, whether it's ground game, shooting game, you know, case law game, whatever. Like it's constant. When I say you're never done, you're never done, ever. And it really doesn't matter if it's law enforcement you're talking about, or a guy that's working, you know, in accounting or out on the pipeline or whatever. If you want to be better, then I think you just have to have that. I mean, the Bible talks about it, right? The Bible has plenty of verbiage in there about having a humble mind, humble heart, you know, and I'm not letting that ego drive you. And I think we all know those guys where their ego just absolutely envelops them. They take no criticism, anything you tell them, they take it as a personal attack on themselves, and that's not it. You know, I see something, whether it's an officer safety issue or, you know, better decision making or whatever, and I'm like, hey man, I'm trying to share some knowledge with you. I'm trying to help you out. But if you can't accept that, then like there's some work on yourself that you need to do so you can. If you actually want to be better, then hey man, like humble yourself a little bit.
And it's like life. I mean, like you said, it doesn't matter what you do. I mean, life, and I fully agree, it never stops. Until the day I die, there's going to be something that I'm going to need to work on, whether it be, you know, professionally, whether it be family, relationships, whether it be whatever. I mean, that's just life.
Absolutely.
So,
Especially in our marriages and our, you know, in our relationships with our kids, whether it's your wife, your kids, or whoever. You know, I'm guilty as anybody, you know, of being humbled in that. And
It's hard. Pride, man.
it is.
Pride
It is.
is hard thing to. I mean, it's a battle. Let's start because it was a 8 day, right?
Yeah, 8 days.
8 days of the total. Anyone in Oklahoma will remember this. They saw it on the news every night. So I'm just going to have you start with the initial call and then go from there.
So when I first found out about it, I got a call from one of our team members who let me know what they had. So he told me he had two Wellston officers get shot. They had their patrol truck stolen. The guy went and ended up carjacking or stealing another car from a lady. From there, they tracked him to a house in Luther, where at that time, that's where that team member was headed to. Okay, they didn't know what they were going to come up with yet, but he had enough to tell me that the vehicle that guy had stolen was at a property in Luther, and that property ended up being owned by the suspect's family members, like an aunt and uncle. He told me that I think OCPD's helicopter was up and was flying over it, and that's how they confirmed it. And through FLIR, that they could see one heat source out in the front yard, which they thought was a body, unknown who it was. So he told me that they were activating OCPD's team. I think it was OCPD or Oklahoma County. I cannot remember which one, but there was a team being activated for it. So he called me. He's like, "Hey, I'm just giving you a heads up. This is what's transpiring. Don't know what's fixing to happen." So he ends up calling me back and said that the team had pulled up. There was a male in the front yard, deceased, shot. They ended up clearing the house and found another victim, female, shot, almost decapitated. So pretty gruesome scene that they found. Through interviews, he tells me that their vehicle was taken. So now we're looking for a Mitsubishi Eclipse, and that's what ends up getting blasted over the news for the next 8 days. So the guy's on the run, right?
Now going back before we go any further, the two officers that were initially shot, were they both killed?
No, just injured.
Injured. How did that happen? Was that a traffic stop? Was it?
So the initial call came into Wellston that there was the neighbors that called in and reported like automatic gunfire.
Okay.
So Wellston responds to the area. They end up pulling up to a residence, and there's numerous people there. They make contact with the homeowner. And in that, so this contact goes on for a while. I find this all out later, right?
Later, yeah.
And so from my understanding is that they were in possession of several rifles there, including an AK that was taken off of the suspect, Michael Vance, right? So they end up identifying everybody, pulling driver's license, setting weapons to the side. So I find out later that the homeowner takes one of the officers and like moves him away. So now there's like this separation. You've got one dude down here with an officer, and then you got several people where one officer is making contact with. I don't know exactly what exactly happens, but I think maybe during the running of their, their license check, their background check, whatever, right? Warrants, whatever. Vance knows that he's out on bond at that time for being accused of molesting his can't remember if it's his daughter or his stepdaughter. And a struggle ensues between Vance and this officer. He ends up getting a hold of that AK. There's some gunfire exchange between Vance and the two officers. And I find out later it wasn't a short engagement. Like it lasted for a while. And they end up hitting Vance, I think, once in the shoulder and then maybe like once in the foot. The officers get hit a couple times. They end up surviving. And then Vance jumps into the Wellston police truck. And then he leaves. So we find out, maybe a couple days later, that he actually posted that on Facebook Live. And he actually does 2 posts on there. So the first one he talks about is the shootout, the stealing of the truck, and he's telling them like, hey, I've got to get rid of this truck. This truck is fixing to crap out on me for the most part. So he's looking for another victim, another vehicle. He pulls up into a residence. I think it's maybe even a trailer park. Jumps out with this rifle. Takes this lady's, like, I think it's like a Crown Victoria or something like that. Steals her car, pops a couple rounds off as he leaves, and then heads to Luther. Gets back on Facebook Live. I think it's his sister that ends up trying to call him during this Facebook Live. And he's like, no, sis, I ain't answering it. This has gone too far. Like, I'm headed. Basically, he's telling them, this is what I'm doing. I'm headed out to this aunt and uncle's house, and I'm going to kill them. And that's exactly what he does. And at that time, that was the first that I'd ever heard of a criminal getting on Facebook Live and telling you exactly what his intentions are. And like he shows the AK. He's like, this isn't no joke. Like, I'm completely 100% going to do this.
And what year, when was this?
This was October of 2016.
Okay.
So all this happened October 22nd, 2016.
Okay.
Yeah. And so after he goes to the house in Luther, and it's my understanding the reason he killed him is because of the support that he was given to the little girl and the woman that he was involved with, saying that, basically they believed them and not him.
Okay.
Okay. So, which, pisses him off enough to murder them both. And not just go in there and shoot them, but to actually go in there and almost decapitate them.
Yeah.
So after he kills the two in Luther, he steals their Eclipse, and he hits westbound out of the city area, and ends up getting into, he goes to Sayre, right off of I-40. There's like a Flying J out there, truck stop. He tries to carjack another guy who is taking motorhomes across country. He flies out, picks up the motorhome, and then drives it back across country. So the guy's walking back to the motorhome. Vance jumps out on him with his AK and says, I'm taking your ride. And the guy's like, no, you're not. There's a struggle of that. The guy ends up grabbing hold of the barrel of the AK and directs it down and ends up getting shot in the leg. And in that struggle, the magazine ejects. So Vance jumps back into the Eclipse, and he's last seen going eastbound, back towards the city.
Does he still have a firearm at that time?
He still has the AK, magazines on the ground, and that was the last known contact of that guy. That was the, say, early morning hours of maybe the 23rd or late evening of the 22nd. Of course, the U.S. Marshals adopt the case, look for him, and he's not, no contact with him whatsoever until the 30th of October. So of course, we find all this stuff out later, that from after he had the contact in Sayre, he drives back to the city and gets in contact with a guy by the name of Danny Roach. Danny has a girlfriend, and I can't remember what her name is right off the top of my head. So they patch him up. They provide medical attention to him. He's got a gunshot wound in the foot, one in the shoulder. And he tells him, hey, I want to trade my AK for a shorter rifle. Like, this it's too big to be going in and out of vehicles with. He's like, hey, somebody's got a shorter one. So Danny sets up a deal with a guy, Reggie something. I can't remember what his last name is. So Reggie comes over. I find this all out in testimony later, because I end up having to go to the sentencing of this Reggie guy. Says as soon as Reggie walks in, Vance puts a gun to his head, and Danny's able to talk him down. They do their deal. He exchanges the big AK for the smaller one. Has about 1,000 rounds of ammo that he's able to trade off to. And then early that morning, he leaves. So he goes out to western Oklahoma and basically just lives off the land for a week. So on the day of October 30th, there's 3 people walking their property. And you got to remember, in that time, like, every single day, several times a day, the news is coming on and giving updates. And for us, we're in like the Signal 1 plane is what we call it. And that's where troopers aren't doing regular patrol work. They're setting up at certain intersections, and we're only looking for one vehicle. And several calls had come in saying, hey, I think, I just saw him. We would run it out. No, it's not him, or whatever. So, like, if you were driving a silver Mitsubishi Eclipse between October 22nd and October 30th in 2016, you probably got stopped, without a doubt. And I mean, there was even a call, 3 miles from my house. And I had a trooper call me. He's like, hey, they think they got him up here, at this intersection. I'm in my gym shorts and whatever. I throw my vest on and haul ass to it, right? So we were getting several calls, in that time. So, I mean, everybody knew it. If you lived in the state of Oklahoma, you freaking knew about it. And
I still remember seeing that and hearing about it for that whole week.
yes.
I remember the RV incidents that happened, and
Yep.
now it's kind of coming back to me. But
Yep.
yeah.
So in that time period, we had our annual troop meeting. I was working Okmulgee County, and we had to go to headquarters, and we had our annual troop meeting that we do all the time. Well, in that meeting, one of the things that they wanted to talk about was case law, and one of the case laws they wanted to talk about was Graham versus Connor. Okay. So in that, they're talking about the 3-prong test. Okay. Severity of the crime. Is he attempting to elude or is eluding? And is he a threat to you or innocent civilians, right? So he gets brought up particularly in that. So I end up going to lunch afterwards with a couple of troopers. We're talking about, Graham Connor. We talk about him. Hey, like, what do you think if you got behind him? Like what could you do, or what would you want to do? Well, we have a discussion among ourselves, and I'm like, hey man, like, if I get behind that car, it's that tag number, it's occupied one time with a male. Well, it's very reasonable to believe that that's our murder suspect. And you go to light him up and a pursuit ensues. Like, you're supposed to have an AK. Like, you got to take all the totality of the circumstances here, all the prior knowledge that you know of this guy. Like, 100%. Like, unless he pulls over and throws his hands up, if there's any chance of him like getting away, you better start putting rounds in him.
Mm-hmm.
And
he's already been a threat to. I mean, he's already been a threat to innocent civilians.
he is absolutely an ongoing threat to society, right? And you cannot let him get out of your sight. And if he does, like, if you can't put your hands on him, or if you can't stop him in the car, you better use some other means, And so we just kind of talked about it in detail. And I was like, hey man, if it's me, like, I'm gonna start putting rounds on him, like, absolutely going to do it. And you got to think about it too. Is like, okay, well, what gun does he have? We're not talking like pistol, right? Yeah. Like, we're talking about a high caliber rifle, like an AK round, which does a lot of damage. And I'm like, I'm not even TVI. I'm not even going to get close enough to TVI. Like, not going to happen. As soon as I get a chance to put some rounds on him, I'm doing it. Instead of being defensive and waiting for him to do something, like, I'm going to take it to him. And like, it's just weird. Like, like, that was the scenario. And for us in law enforcement, like, you've got to play those scenarios out in your head. Like, just regular traffic stops. Okay, I go up there, it's a regular traffic stop. What am I going to do if this dude pulls a gun? And like, have a pre-planned, opt, basically, instead of just trying to do it on the fly. Because it's harder to do under stress. Like, just trying to think your way through it as the stress hits you. But if I can think about it beforehand, then it makes my decision making that much faster. And if I can make my decision already before this guy does something, then I'm going to win. Because it is a competition, right? And little segue here. That people bag on competition shooting. I'm like, well, what do you think gunfighting is? When you're out there stopping cars, or you're coming into contact with people? It is a competition. So don't tell me competition shooting doesn't relate to law enforcement in those scenarios. Okay. So anyway, I jumped on a soapbox there for a second. We can talk about that later, but I'm just like, this is what I'm going to do. And so, and of course, that, what ends up happening. And so on the 30th, those people are walking their property. They see a vehicle that matches what's been put out all over the news, and good on them, because they recognize it, right? The vehicle is dirty. It's kind of covered up with some brush and stuff like that. And they don't walk up on it. They see it from a distance. They actually take a picture of it. They back out, and then they call the sheriff's department. Well, it's such a rural county that it takes the sheriff's office like 45 minutes to get out there. Well, in that time, Vance must have saw him. So he gets in the vehicle and he hits a dirt road, and he's in the wind again. Okay. So I get a call. They've got a perimeters, being pushed out out in this rural county, and I think it was Dewey County is where we were at. It was like right on the border of like Dewey, Roger Mills, and I can't remember what the other county is, but it's like right on the border.
Yeah.
So the highway patrol is running like a manhunt perimeter assignment. So they're setting guys out out on the perimeter. And I couldn't believe that they hadn't activated the team yet. Like that was beyond me.
And you're talking about the tactical team.
I'm talking about the tactical team, the highway patrol tactical team. And because now we've got a photo of the vehicle. It's the vehicle we've been looking for. And why are we not sending a team out there? Because 2 days before that, they sent us to Bartlesville on a reporter that could be Vance in this house. And they immediately sent us. And, before we get there, they like, hey, the guy came out and it's not him. And they turn us around.
Yeah.
Well, now we've got hard intel. Like, this is the best hard intel we've had in the last 8 days. And like, why are we not spinning the team up for this? So I called the assistant commander at that time and I'm like, hey, like, we're going, right? And he's like, no, not yet. He drove away and they're running a manhunt out there for him. They're trying to get him locked down somewhere. But I'm like, well, when they do, how far away are we? Some of us are 3.5, 4 hours away. I'm like, I said, okay, well, let's do this. I said, won't you send me like 6 dudes that are all on the east side of the state and let us go out there, send me a Bearcat so we can have some armored. And then at least we'll have some sort of response to this deal. I'm like, hey, like, what if he shoots the cops down? You know what I mean? Like, we need to be at least a rescue squad at this point. And I get denied. So I'm sitting in my house and, we're getting ready to go to like this Halloween deal. We're talking, next day's Halloween. And my wife, she's like, are you going to go with us? And I'm like, I think this thing's going to kick off. Like I have this feeling. I was like, I'm going to go. So, didn't get the clearing of it. Nothing. I just went, my mindset at that point is like, fuck them. Like we need to be there and I'm going to go. So I called my assistant commander when I'm like almost Oklahoma City. I'm like, I'm just letting you know I'm headed out there. He's like, okay, well, I'm going to send you some guys. I'm like, all right. So I make it there. It's about a 3-hour drive for me. Pull up, and we did have the Bearcat coming, but it was like we're behind. I'm past Oklahoma City before they even say, "Hey, we're going to get a Bearcat out there." And like, as you know, man, you can't make up time. Like that should have been done. As soon as they found the car, like reasonable to believe that it's him. And hell, they even went up and searched the camp area and found the pink shirt that he'd wore when he did the Facebook Live post. I'm like, yeah, it's covered in blood. It's the same pink shirt. So there was a lot of hard intel that should have put us out there, way before. So anyway, I make it out there and it's me and 2 other team guys at that time. And here's one of the things I screwed up that day. One of many, okay? Like one of many. Because I was thinking, like, hey, we're going to get this guy in a house. They're going to call us. I'll have time to do, throw my vest on. I'll have time to do whatever. And that wasn't the case. I'd been there like 15 minutes, the staging area for like 15 minutes. And that's the time when, unbeknownst to us, Vance had already stolen another truck and ends up getting contacted by the sheriff because he was dragging a chain, right? So Dodge flatbed pickup, just an old farm truck. He ends up stealing it. It's dragging a chain. The sheriff of that county, Dewey County, sees it, calls it out over the radio, and is like, hey, this truck's dragging a chain. It's sparking all over the road. We've had no rain out here. Don't want to start a grass fire while we're out here looking for this murder suspect. And he goes to pull it over and hits the shoulder, slow rolls him for a little bit. Right before it comes to a stop, Vance pushes the door open, throws it in park, and immediately jumps out on him and just lights his patrol car up. Probably dumped a whole magazine in it, all through the sheriff's windshield, right? Sheriff sees it coming, smart enough to duck, throws it in reverse, gives himself some distance. Vance is advancing on him. Sheriff's able to return fire from inside his vehicle and redirect him. And Vance gets back in the truck and takes off. Well, a helicopter was up in the area at the time. Well, they hear the radio traffic. They were headed to go get refueled. So they immediately turn around and they come back. Our commander of the team at that time comes out of the command post and says, hey, the sheriff has just been shot. I need you guys to head north. I'm like, well, where are we going? Like, I have no idea. I'm not from here. I have like very little direction of what's going on. And you got to remember, like it's rapidly evolving. It's a high stress deal. He's like, just go north. People are pulling out of there and just blazing out of there, right? Well, I grabbed my vest, which I always staged it in the back of my Tahoe at the time. And so I grabbed my vest. I go to put it on, and I just, I'm seeing all these cars just flying out of there. And I'm like, man, I don't want to get left behind.
Yeah.
So I just tossed my vest in the back seat, and I'm like, I'll have time to put it on later. I just need to get where I need to go. So we're hauling ass north. I have no idea where I'm going. I'm just following cars. It's the whole convoy. I can listen and I can hear the helicopter talking. Like, hey, we're back in the area. We're searching. Like, hey, what are we looking for? And there was a little bit of confusion of whether it was a flatbed truck or a truck pulling a flatbed trailer. A little bit of confusion of that. So they get that ironed out. It's like, no, flatbed truck, and he's dragging a chain. I'd say within 2 or 3 minutes of them being back on site. It's like, hey, man, we got it. It's eastbound on 830 road. And in my mind, I'm like, where the hell is 830 road at? Like, I have no idea. So, but I was smart enough to know that if I'm going north and he's eastbound on 830, somewhere in here is going to tell me, how far I am from that. So, like, there's so much divine intervention in this story. When I say the next county road sign I saw was 830 road, it was 830 road. Like, it was the road. Like, I didn't have to turn around and search for it. None of that. Like, I saw a green sign coming up. I knew it was a county road sign. I slowed down enough to see what it was as I'm driving by, because I'm not sure. And it said 830. And I was like, oh shit, that's it. Flip a U-turn, holler at my guys behind me. I'm like, hey, that's the road right there. So we all just cut us a U, and I'm the first one down the road. And then, like, it's all dirt road, right? And so I just dust them out. Like, they can't even follow me. They're just so dusty. And so I holler at the helicopter, and I'm like, hey, I'm eastbound on 830. And they start giving me some cross streets and stuff, which still doesn't resonate to me. I'm like, I don't know, like how far away I am from him or not. But so the two guys that were behind me, I was dusting them out so much that they ended up having to turn off of that road. They went a couple miles to the south and they hit a paved road. So now they're paralleling us, right? We had another trooper that was familiar with that area, and he had told them, like, hey, because they come over, was like, hey man, we can't keep up with you. You're dusting us out. This trooper gets on the radio and was like, hey, if you'll go 2 miles south, you'll hit a paved road, and then you can just parallel it. So I'm driving. I can see the helicopter in front of me, so I kind of have an idea of like how far I am from it. And eventually, I see taillights, and holler at that helicopter, and I'm like, "Hey, I'm your first unit. I can see some taillights in front of me. Is this the right vehicle?" They're like, "Yep, that's it."
So this is night now, obviously.
Oh yeah, this is.
So what time is it now?
Oh, it's probably 9:30,
Okay.
10 o'clock at night. And so I don't know, I'm just trying to keep him in front of me at this point, and just, keep eyes on him. All I have is my headlights. I'm not turning my, lights or sirens on, because I don't want him to know, like, hey, I'm for sure a cop behind you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I'm just gaining and gaining, trying to gain on him. And the closer I get, of course, the more dust I get. So I'm letting the helicopter know, I was like, hey, I'm getting dusted out pretty good. No wind, which is not heard of in Western Oklahoma, right?
Yeah.
Like, it's always windy, but it was super still that night. And the dust was just settling on the road. So it was getting pretty hard to see. And I'd been in enough pursuits on county roads that here comes a sharp turn and you don't see it till the last minute, and then you're off in a field somewhere. And that was the last thing I wanted to do. I was so super focused on not crashing, not like disabling my vehicle where I couldn't be in it. I was like, man, I wouldn't be able to live with myself. You know what I mean? It'd be that, it would be that burning regret your entire life.
Yep.
I'm like, it'd be hard to deal with a lot. So I was super like hyper focused, keeping that unit on the road. And then, I was probably behind him for, I don't know, 3 or 4 miles. The trooper that's familiar with that area, he knows where we're at. Helicopter's putting it out. And he's like, hey, and the next mile, it's gonna come to a T intersection. He's either got to go north or south. And those guys that were paralleling me had set up a roadblock south. I mean, he's got 2 ways to choose. Man, I hope he chooses south. And again, man, I think that's that divine intervention coming in. God's like, hey, don't worry. He's going to go south. And he does. So he turns south on that road, and I know where they're set up. They're going to be coming in contact with him pretty quick. And I was probably a quarter mile behind him at that point. I was able to see him make that turn. I was able to ID the truck. I'm like, yep, that's definitely it. And once he made that turn, and then I make the turn, I go ahead and throw my lights and sirens on. Just let them know, because I'm one of the guys to let them know, like,
Yeah.
this is kind of where we're at. If you can hear the sirens, or you can, see my lights, this is where I am, and you don't have to worry about me. And because I didn't want to be close enough where they couldn't shoot, because I knew what was going to happen. Like, there was no doubt. And the way that terrain was set up, Vance couldn't even see them until he topped a hill. Once he topped the hill, he was committed at that point. Like, he was 100% committed. Now, I will say this. Like, we didn't know at that time we didn't know it was Vance. We assumed that it was him, or is this going to be another person that has tried to murder a sheriff, and then once we deal with him, we still got a murderer that we're looking for. So odds were that it's him, but like we wasn't 100% sure, you know. So he tops the hill. He sees the roadblock, and one of the troopers there, Brandon, you know, of course we've talked about it. And he's like, man, he goes, I knew when I was going to make my decision, when he topped that hill, if he would have come to a stop, then maybe, hey, we'll give him, you know, some orders and give him some time. He said, but if he hits the gas, I'm going to light his ass up. And as soon as he tops the hill, man, he's like, dude, I heard that engine just rev. He's like, I knew it at that point. And they left an opening for him to get through. Didn't completely shut it down. To me, I think it was the right call. You know, that guy's come crashing in, and then he jumps out with an AK. You know, it's going to be a tough battle. So as he's approaching the roadblock, they just start lighting him up. Lots of rounds exchanged, and he drives right through it. By the time I top the hill, what I see is Vance is still continuing, and still a lot of dust. But I know I can, like, if he can get through, I can get through. I didn't slow down. I was like, I wasn't worried about those dudes standing in my way or anything like that, right? I just punched the gas and, you know, kept going. I was able to catch up to him now, because now we're on pavement. I don't have to worry about none of this dust, none of this nothing, right? And as I get closer, like he starts brake checking me. We almost have a collision. I back off of him a little bit, and there was that thought for a second. I was like, I'm on TBI this dude. I was like, nah, dude's got an AK. Not a smart thing, right? So it's something I talked about days before. You know, I was like, no, I'm going to back off of him a little bit. So one of the lieutenants that was out there, he was like, hey, where y'all at? He's like, we've got a roadblock set up here, and if he makes it to this, we're going to put rounds on him. So it was communicated back. It's like, hey, we've already done that. He's already ran one of our roadblocks. We've already shot at him. And that was like the first time I knew it. I didn't know, I didn't hear the rounds, didn't see anything. Like, all I know is he just kept going. I didn't know there's rounds exchanged at that point. So as soon as that was said, I'm like, hey, this is a scenario you talked about right here. So I made a decision. I'm like, I'm going to do whatever I can not to let him get to this next roadblock and give him an opportunity to jump out and start shooting these other troopers. Like, we're going to try to end it before he gets there. So, you know, I grab my rifle and, you know, I start putting rounds down on him, and not getting the response that I want. You know, I'm probably put, you know, 15 down range at that point, and then he starts shooting back.
So he started exchanging gunfire at that point.
Yeah. And so I had to back up a little bit. So when I started putting rounds on him, the concussion inside that vehicle was almost overwhelming. Like, enough where I wanted to stop. Like that's how bad it hurt. It was absolutely just almost overwhelming. So now, once he starts firing back, the trooper that's behind me, he gets on the radio and he's like, "Hey, I don't know who's shooting, but I think he is." And I'm like, I pick up the radio and I'm like, "Yeah, man, I'm trying to knock him out." So I was trying to let him know, like, "Hey, we're both shooting here," but trying to get that communication and trying to answer the exact question that he had. It was kind of hard to hear at that point,
yeah,
right?
I bet.
So I ended up exchanging mags at that point. I had 3 mags staged in my door panel. I knew they were filled with green tip. It was better than what I was, putting down range at the time. And so I did a tack reload on that and started putting some green tip in there. Then I started getting the response that I wanted. He started to slow down a little bit. He started shooting more, so which told me that, hey, I'm getting his attention. Like these rounds are doing something, and because that's what I wanted. I wanted him to stop and let's fight on the ground. I've got my buddies with me, and let's do this on the ground because I'm tired of you being in that vehicle. And eventually he comes to a stop. I run through a couple mags, and it's like the car is filling up with gas, so it's hard for me to even tell like what distance I'm at that point. You've got night, and now I've got an obstruction of gas in here, and so I'm trying to like keep enough distance but close enough where I can be effective. And so it was hard to do both, and like because depth perception was really jacking with me at the time. And the last thing I wanted to do is let him beat me out on the ground and me sitting inside that car. So I'm like, I'm trying to time it right where I know he's coming to a stop, where I can get out and get boots on the ground before him and start using my vehicles for some better cover instead of sitting inside my seat. And eventually I determined that, hey, this deal's coming to a stop. I get out and I go around to the passenger rear side of my vehicle, and looking back and watching like some of the videos, I know I beat him out on the ground, but by the time I got back around, he was able to get out and then go to the front of his vehicle. So I kind of go back and forth on if that was the right move or not. Because, hindsight's 2020, right? Like it's 2020.
When you had so much going on, your ear, and I'm sure your ears had a lot. That's a whole nother mix thrown in with the gas and the depth perception of the night. And that probably, I'm assuming that probably was messing with your equilibrium, with everything. I mean, you had so much going on at that time.
There was definitely a sensory overload. There's definitely a lot of stress on my body. And, of course, the other part is I didn't want to get shot in the face either. You know what I mean? Like, I don't
Especially thinking that he's got an AK.
Yeah. Like, I know what's going to happen if his rounds get through my windshield, like it's going to cut through like butter, and then of course my dumbass didn't take the time to put my vest on. So now I'm running around without a vest on. I'm like, if one of those rounds get through the windshield, like I'm either going to get hit right in the face or I'm going to take it right in the chest. One of the two, and none of those are good options. So if you look at my vehicle after this is all done, you can see like 2 distinct groupings where I was shooting. So the first grouping is he's not shooting, so I'm a little bit higher up. The second one is whenever his rounds start impacting my truck, and then I get lower. You know what I mean? Like I change a little bit of position and I get lower. I'm like trying to get as low as I can and still be effective. You know, trying to be as small as I can. So, so once I get out, oh, so I'll back up just a little bit so I can finish this part. Like, again, hindsight's 20/20, but I'm like, if I would have got out and at least assessed it, then I would have saw him getting out, and I probably would have got him right there. But I still wasn't 100% sure if he'd gotten out yet or not. You know, my biggest fear was like, just don't be sitting in your front seat, you know, with him being out. So it was, as soon as I figured it out that I need to get out of there, man, I'm out, and I'm back around the other side, which ends up allowing him to get out and get to the front of it. And then now all I'm seeing is just muzzle flashes. Don't know where he is, but I can see his like muzzle flashes that he's shooting. I can feel the rocking of my Tahoe back and forth when he's hitting it. And so I just start putting rounds where the muzzle flashes are. Eventually run dry on my rifle. And I'm like, I'm out, right? At least I think I'm out. I had a 20-round mag on my buttstock attached to it that I never went to, which was a big, you know, screw up on my part. And we had trained it, well, not enough, but I trained it where I thought was like it would be proficient if I'm out and I can grab this one. That was the whole point of it. And I eventually just opened up the back of my Tahoe because I knew like, hey, I've got extra magazines in the back of this Tahoe, which was true until I moved my vest to the back seat. Now those rounds I was going to take out of my vest are in the back seat, and my other rounds are at my front door, and I don't want to go back up there. I look over to this little pocket area of my Tahoe, and I see 3 magazines sitting there. I don't even reach for them. Those were my training mags. And I was too lazy to refill them after a training session. I was like, don't even reach for them because they're empty. I know what those are. So, which told me like, hey dude, that screw up may just cost you your life. So anytime I leave a training session now, all my magazines are filled. Loaded. I don't care if they're practice rounds or whatever, I fill them. And that was a huge takeaway right there. So I end up transitioning to my pistol, put some rounds on range on him, just trying to keep his head down. Again, I don't know where he is. Like, I have no idea. By that time, Brandon had come up there to me, and I can remember this so vividly. He's like, hey, where's he at? And that's when I became scared. And I was like, I don't know where he is. And I felt like this fear of like, I don't know. And like, it just, like to be in that situation where like this dude's trying to murder you and you don't know where he is. It's a scary situation.
And you're out of rounds.
Yeah. Yeah. I have no rifle rounds. I got rounds in my pistol, but I don't know if he's flanking us. I don't know where his last position is. I don't know if he's come over to the passenger side of his vehicle at this point. And now he's figured out where we are. Now he's going to cut the angle on us. Like I didn't know. And so I told Brandon, I was like, I don't know where he is. I'm like, give me a mag. So he's like, here. So he gives me one of his magazines. I reload it. Well, as I'm reloading it, Brandon sees him, and he was at the front of his truck, and I didn't know at the time, and it was relayed over the radio from the helicopter, and I can hear them talking, but I cannot understand what they're saying. He's like, "Hey, he's in front of the truck, and the truck's rolling backwards to you." I couldn't tell that in the moment with it being night, and it was moving so slowly. I couldn't tell that he was actually closing the distance on us.
And using that for cover.
And using it for cover. It was just like a rolling barricade. Eventually, he steps away from his cover and tries to do this big angle on us. Brandon sees him, and Brandon's able to put rounds on him, and Brandon actually flips it to full auto and just roasts the dude. So a story about that, like just talking to Brandon, we'd been out at Fort Sill doing some training out there, and they had steel set up at like different yardages, and Brandon, he's like, "Man, I wonder what I can do with like full auto. Like, how many rounds can I hit this steel at 100 yards with full auto?" So he's messing around with it, and he's getting some rounds on it for sure. And he told me later on, he's like, "Man, he's like, two things I wanted to do is, one, I wanted to get into his head about letting him hear this full auto sound. And the other one is like, I know I can get some rounds on him, and let's incapacitate this dude." So he does. He's like, "Man, I just flipped it to full auto, and I just let it rip." He ends up hitting the guy in the neck. So, and I'm down like in this kneeling position, and I hear this full auto go off. And I remember thinking in my head, I'm like, "That's fucking cool." Like just the little things that you can remember and stuff like that, and the way the mind works of like just remembering that and remembering what you thought. And it was like, that's fucking cool, So I finished reloading. Well, Brandon, he's out, so now I take his position, and that's the first time I saw Vance. Was laying down in the middle of the road, and I didn't know if he was, if he dropped to a prone position, if he's still alive, like because he's kind of laying in this dark area, and you can't really make out, anything other than like this black figure. So I just ended up just putting all my mag in that one. Everything on him. Now we're getting more guys coming up. Now I'm out again. So I'm like, "Give me a mag," and I'm like going and touching everybody's like left butt cheek. Yeah. Because at that time, I mean, like there wasn't a whole lot of guys that were wearing battle belts at that time, right? So most guys were carrying extra mags in their left back pocket. So I'm just going along and touching left ass cheeks, trying to find mags, I finally get another mag. We put some more rounds in him, and eventually I'm able to work up and grab another mag out of my front pocket of the door. So it kind of comes to a settle, and hey, is everybody good? Yeah, I'm good. Hey, if you need a plus up. Just everybody calm, and let's relax. So now there's some radio traffic going on, and the guys that were further down the road were asking to come up, and they're like, "No, stand by. Like he's down in the middle of the road. We still got this truck to clear. We need him. We've got to come up with a plan to get him. The Bearcat's still 30 minutes out, So I just made a decision. I'm like, "Hey, we're going to take 3 guys straight to him. We're going to take 3 guys to the truck. We're going to move up together. You're going to clear the truck at the time, and then we're going to move to him." So just knocking out these two problems at once. Went up there and got that accomplished. And by the time, you've got 30 dudes showing up, from all different agencies that are showing up. And yeah, man, it was,
wow. That's intense.
Pretty intense.
I mean, even starting going all the way back to, where you first picked him up. But you were talking about the things that go through your mind. One of the things we talk about with all of our guests is, was this the first shooting you've been in?
That was the third one at the time.
Third one, okay. We talk about physiological effects, tunnel vision, auditory exclusion, slowing of time. One thing that I've noticed in talking with people who've been in multiple shootings is that the first shooting, they have the effects, and then from then on, they don't. So I guess my question is, in that one, did you have any? And if not, did you have them as your first one? And did you notice that in your second and third that you didn't have any?
Talking about tunnel vision?
Tunnel vision or auditory exclusion, which this one would be hard to tell because your ears are just blown out, which we're going to get into in a minute. But slowing of time, slow motion in mine, I remember seeing the rounds enter, that slowing down that slow. And those are the main ones. Did you ever experience that with any of your shootings?
So in the first one, definitely auditory exclusion, because it happened so fast, and we were under this brick and concrete awning that was in an apartment complex, and very loud, but absolute auditory exclusion on that one. It didn't bother me on hearing anything like that. I would definitely say it happened fast, but it was, like you're saying, very deliberate, like a slowing of time. Right? I'd say the second one, we were out in this big open area. So again, I didn't really hear, those sounds cracking off as I would if I was just out on the range practicing.
Yeah.
Right. With this one, it's like, there's like this buildup. Okay. There's this buildup of anxiety. There's this buildup of stress. There's this buildup of adrenaline. But then you keep driving, and you keep driving, and you keep driving. You know what's coming, but there's such this long gap that goes on that I feel like that it already peaked, and then it was kind of plateaued at that point. So it's kind of like deer hunting, right? Big buck comes out. I mean, all of a sudden he appears, and you shoot your deer rifle, and you don't even hear it because it happens just so fast. Well, this one was, hey, he's been out there for a while. You've calmed down. He's finally in range, and you crack it off, and you're like, holy crap, that was loud. This is kind of how I can relate to it, is like, we'd been out there for so long, and now he's finally in range. And when it happens, like I knew it was like, this is happening. In those first probably 4 to 5 rounds, just can't emphasize enough like how much it freaking hurt. And but then like you keep shooting and you keep shooting and you keep shooting. Well, now that hurt has come into just absolute ringing, numbness. Just your body's gotten used to it at this point. Like it's not getting any worse. You've already dealt with the highest peak of uncomfortableness. Now you're just doing the same thing, and it's not really affecting you. I mean, it is, but it's not like the first initial shock of it. Because it was shocking at first, because I've never been inside of a vehicle without ear pro on whenever we shot out of them. So that was definitely a different.
Well, I think taking rounds too. Taking rounds versus not taking rounds
Yeah.
would be a huge thing. In my shooting, I thought we were taking rounds. It was actually my partner's shot, but actually knowing that you're taking rounds and seeing those come in would be a huge thing too. That's
Yeah.
another level.
Yeah,
So,
and those rounds, I mean, they definitely move that topo a little bit. Like,
so when he traded the gun off, did he trade off for 223 or was it another AK?
there's another AK, just a shorter barrel.
Wow. So
Yeah, he was rolling
he
around. I think he was rolling around with the first one, probably like a 16-inch barrel or maybe
Yeah.
even a 20. And then he traded it for a shorty.
And he had 1,000 rounds of that.
Mm-hmm.
Man,
Yeah,
that's a big difference.
yeah. I mean, like once when we found that stuff out, and it just solidified his thought process. Not only the Facebook posts and what he had done to every person he'd come into contact with. Like it just solidified. Like this is not going to end well. Like this is going to end up in a shooting, whether he's killing one of us or we're killing him. He ain't giving up. And and he just, when he keeps going like that, like that's what happens.
Yeah.
And if you understand case law and knowing what you can do, then the decision is easy. Especially when you made it 4 days ago.
That's interesting. That discussion went on 4 days before that. And like you said, it does, give you a plan
Yeah.
and solidifies it in your mind. Okay. Like you said, the case law, you can do it.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah. And again, like back to what the mind, like how funny the mind works. So, like if you're watching that video, when I start shooting, I eventually hit something on the back of that truck, and it flies off. And I remember thinking I know it was white, but I remember thinking, I was like, did I just fucking shoot a dog off of there? And I'm like, my buddies are going to fucking roast me.
Yeah.
For shooting a dog off of there, right? Because I'd been known to do that, like during operations when dogs are coming up and then they're screwing up our op. Like we just put them down and just keep going. I get my balls busted for it all the time, right? And then I was like, oh, here's another one, But it's just funny how like the mind
The things
works.
you think about.
The things you think
Remember.
about. Yeah. Like I remember that thing flying off, and I remember going, did I just shoot a dog? It was just, it's funny now, but it's like, like how the mind works and what you remember in those times that you shouldn't even remember that crap. It's very interesting.
One question I was going to have is, did your round, especially when you started putting the green tip on, did that disable the vehicle? Is that why he stopped, or was he starting to take hits and decided, okay, I got to get out of here?
So it's only going to be speculation on my part, but I think the first engagement at the roadblock, I think those guys did something to it. I think their rounds punctured something
Going through
in
the
that.
front, yeah.
Because if you look close in the video, you can see there's some sort of liquid.
Okay.
That is coming out of that vehicle, whether it's radiator fluid or what. Like, I don't know, but I also think he got tired of rounds coming in there, or the fact that, hey, at any point, like, hey, I'm gonna get hit and I'm in a bad spot here, and it's hard for me to turn around and I just assume he was shooting one-handed. I don't know, but it's hard for me to get accurate rounds on this dude. And I'm better off to get out and fight from here. And so I think there's a couple of things.
Yeah, a few things going through there.
Going on.
One thing I'd really like to kind of go over is the aftermath. Kind of briefly, just kind of, what the aftermath was on the department as far as, how long you were off, what you went through there. But then really kind of getting, I heard you talking earlier about all the problems you had with your ears. I guess, did that instant blow out both eardrums?
Yeah, they were both like extremely roasted, right? You know,
Yeah.
almost literally. Like, so I thought just like maybe one of them were, I knew one of them was probably blown out. And then when I ended up going to the doctor, he's like, no, man, they're both of them are blown out. And he's like, yeah, I mean, it'll heal, but you're not going to get back what you've lost, all those little cones and sensories in there.
Mm-hmm.
He's like, once you damage those, they're pretty much done. And the first doctor comes in and he's looking in my left ear and he looks at it again and he's like, hey, I'll be back here in just a second. I'm like, all right. Well, he comes back and he brings this other doctor in and he's like, hey, I want you to, look at this. Like, he was like almost in amazement, right? And I'm like, shit, like what's like, how bad is this deal? So they both look in there and he's like, man, he goes, it looks like something got in your ear that was hot that you burned through the eardrum. Like
Wow.
something got in there and it singed it. So I don't know if it was, some of that flying debris and particles and stuff that were so hot that something in there got into my ear and landed on it and just like
Wow.
burned right through it. So it's just, like that's just another training point.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like there's so many things like I watched that video enough and all I'm watching is just try to like pick up critiques and like what could you have done better? Because I was struggling with like some of the things that I failed to do, and I ended up calling a buddy of mine that had been in multiple shootings, and I'm like, hey man, I'm struggling with this a little bit, just like this the non-performance side of kind of what I did. And he's like, hey man, he's like, if you think a gunfight's going to be perfect, then that if you're looking for perfection in a gunfight, you're chasing something that you're not going to be able to catch.
Mm-hmm.
So it kind of hit home to me. I was like, okay. It's like, man, what you need to be thinking about is, did you perform in a way that you were trained to perform in? Did you keep fighting? Did you stay in it? Were you able to think and move and do things that were advantageous for you? And so it helped, but it still didn't stop me from like trying to pick it apart,
Mm-hmm.
just personally trying to pick it apart. And we've talked about them already, like. So now, like when I show up on a scene like that, like you can't predict like what's going to happen and how fast it's going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
So instead of bullshitting with your buddies, just throw your gear on, man, and be ready to go, like at a moment's notice.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, and I'd done this in the past, but I didn't perform it that day. So I'd always put like eye protection somewhere close,
Mm-hmm.
right? So one time I would put it, I'd have it hanging here on like my turn signal. Well, I go to put it on one night in a pursuit in Tulsa. Hey man, I strap these things on, absolutely going good here. And pursuit comes to an end. Well, all the humidity in the air, as soon as I step out, just fogged over, right? I'm like, okay, well, it's not a good thing to have them by the vent on your in your car.
Mm-hmm.
So I started hanging them up here by the dome light,
Mm-hmm.
and I had my eyes hanging there that night, and I had plenty of time to think about it, like at least plenty of time to like understand what's going on, and do that small little feat, which could have like helped with if anything had gotten in my eyes. Because if something got in my eyes that night, man, it had been tough to fight through. And that only thing I can again say is like that's God looking out for me, because there's so much stuff flying around there, all that gas, all those shards of glass that are being flipped around inside that car, and nothing gets in my eyes. It was an absolute miracle. And so if you just do a couple little things like that, right? Like soon as something kicks off, do those small little details that could absolutely be the game winner for you. You know what I mean? Putting your glasses on. Now I carry my my Ear Pro stairs or sets right there on the side of my truck. I usually put it on the headrest of the passenger side, or I can just grab them and put them on. I had earmuffs in there, but they're in the back seat. I can't reach them. So having them in there is half the battle, but putting them in there in a place where you can actually reach it as you're driving, just that can help with those things. So, and again, we talked about like setting your car up for to fight out of, right? Having those 3 mags there absolutely helped, 100%. Like, still do it, Put my mags there. Now when I get to the back of my ride, which I drive a pickup now for work, but as soon as the tailgate drops, I've got it set up where I've got 3 mag carriers that's I can just reach. I don't have to open up any drawers or nothing. They're sitting right there on my box. It's like it's a box that's wrapped in like Velcro.
Oh yeah.
Okay, like the female side of the Velcro or whatever. And then I've got like this little platform, this little plastic deal that kind of comes up, and you can attach mags to it. So now all I can do is just, if I drop the tailgate, I've got 3 mags and an extra pistol mag sitting there for me. And then if I run out of those, I just open up the box and I've got 20 mags sitting there. So I've got plenty, which maybe I do, maybe I don't, but at least I have quite a few, extra magazines. So just if guys want to if they want to think about it, which I think they should, like, okay, because most fights are going to end up, probably off of a traffic stop or at least somewhere in and around your car that you can get back to or fight from the driver's side. And if you have to exit out, especially, most felony stops, I think we're getting away from teaching rushing up to the car, which I still see guys do, which is absolutely retarded. You should not do that. Like, hey man, let me use this vehicle for some cover. Let me put some pillars in between me and bad guy. Let me call these people out from behind cover, make them walk to me, and put them on the ground, and let's take them into custody behind some type of cover, which I think is the smartest thing you can do. Is it the best cover? I don't know, but it's better than nothing. It's better than standing out in open air, and it's definitely better than rushing up there and just rushing up to somebody to shoot you. You know what I mean? I think those days of rushing the car are over.
Yeah.
And so just a little bit of pre-planning, maybe putting mags on all your door pockets. You just never know how your car's going to be set up and where you can go and where you can't go. So I think it can be advantageous for that situation, whatever you're going to be in. And
I've known other officers with the same, that they go back, and one was Katie Lawson that I interviewed in the past, and, and she did an amazing job. She had 20, 23, 26 rounds in her driver's seat. She was able to return fire, get them off. But she had issues about not actually hitting the suspect. I've had other officers with that same thing, and I think that's great. What he said was, if you're looking for a perfect scenario, you're never going to find it. You're going to be chasing it, your whole life. So I think it's, whatever you're dealt with, as long as you deal with that effectively,
Yeah.
which obviously you did. One question I'd like to, so you weren't, are any of the rifles suppressed?
Mine was not. No, I don't think anybody there that night was running a suppressed rifle. The department does now issue. I think this is the first academy where they're
Okay.
issuing suppressed rifles.
Yeah.
So that's not that this situation caused that,
Right.
but at least we're advancing in our technology and our equipment buying, right? So
Yeah.
you know, you can look in law enforcement. 40 years ago they're running revolvers, right? Then you got semi-autos. Now we're getting into semi-autos with red dots on them. Rifles were just your regular. Might have been the mini 14s.
Oh yeah.
Right. So
Yep.
mini 14s.
Yep.
Now we're going into AR-15s.
15. Yeah.
Now we're getting AR-15s with red dots. Now we're getting AR-15s, red dots, slings, suppressors, right? So just the advancement of it. And unfortunately, like law enforcement's probably was like one of the worst. Like they're so far behind.
Yeah.
So far behind on just a dude that will take the initiative on himself and like see what's out there, what's the new technology, and he spends his own money. He goes to his own training on his own dime and like gets these advancement and doesn't wait for the department to do it. Man, you can't wait on the department to get you better.
They're always going to be behind.
Always.
Always.
And it always comes down to money. And I get it. Like, hey, I get it. But I mean, let's be real. Like if you want to be a good cop, a good trooper, whatever, like you're going to have to invest in yourself. You cannot let the department, like you're going to be let down. You're absolutely going to be let down. Then you're going to get resentful because the department's not doing this for me. Well, hey, bro, like if you came into this thing thinking that the department was going to do all this for you, you came in with the wrong idea.
That's kind of like the idea of the government's going to take care of me.
Yeah.
Not going to happen.
It's not going to happen. No. How about invest in yourself? Hey, maybe instead of going and buying that lake boat, I want you to take some of that money there and go to some training, apply what you learned there, go buy some ammo, go build your skills up. And then once you get that done, you want to advance some more training, go to a different class, take what he teaches you and then build on that. Because, what I see, and I'm going to brag on the highway patrol, like our firearms training, I'd say is probably one of the most advanced ones out there because, and here's the reason. Guys spend their own money and they go and they seek this and then they bring it back and then they develop it and then other stuff gets brought in and they just kind of make it
makes everyone better,
gets this whole program going and it just evolves and evolves and evolves. And, so I give a ton of credit for those guys that are willing to spend their own dime, sacrifice their time with their family, spend their own, lodging. They're paying for their own lodging. I will say the department has been providing ammo for that if guys want to go to it, which is absolute. Guys are happy to do it. Like, yeah, if you'll give me the ammo. And if it's close enough for me to drive and I can take a state vehicle, if you give me the gas and the ammo, I'll spend the tuition. I'll go spend the $800 in tuition. I'll go spend the $300 that it takes for me to lodge. I'll spend the $250 to eat meals and whatever, if you'll do that for me. And they do. And then they come back and they share that knowledge and it gets received and it gets implemented. And so I say we were really fortunate with that.
Yeah, that's good to have that.
Yeah.
Even just that support of the ammo is huge.
Oh, yeah. It's a game changer.
Yeah.
For sure.
So I want to go back to your ears. And this is kind of the last thing. We've been going on for a while, but you've had a lot of issues, ongoing issues. This is permanent damage at this point. What advice do you have for someone who is in a situation, maybe not their ears, but is in a situation where, they're looking at something that, it could be you got hit, with a vest on, you have internal damage, ears, eyes. I know a friend of mine got hit one time and glass, came into his eye from the windshield, from the impact. What would your advice be for somebody, going through all that you've gone through, for somebody else?
I would say tell them to be on top of this workman's comp deal. I'd never turned in a workman's comp claim. And, I've, I'm trying to get, maybe hearing aids. Like, hey, I've got a workman's comp case that's never been closed. Man, this thing is not getting better. Like, I'm having trouble in these different environments. I can't hear. I'm having these ringing in my ears, this tinnitus thing going on, and it's just not getting better. And I grew up in a generation, around my dad, where like you didn't go to the doctor. You know what I mean? Like if you ain't dying, you ain't going, like type deal. Like it'll get better, and that's kind of what my mindset was. It was like, can I live with it? Yeah, I can. Is it going to suck? Yeah. But if I had this help, man, this hearing aids would make it a heck of a lot better. I could actually hear people talk. I could hear the TV going. I had to turn it up. The kids was like, man, why you have it so loud in here? Well, it's because I can't hear it.
Yeah.
And I would just tell them, man, you have to be on top of that. And they're going to drown you in paperwork. They're going to drown you in forms. It's an absolute pain in the ass, but it's worth it. I ended up having to get a workman's comp lawyer out of the deal. And, and I didn't know it at the time, but the law had changed. And when my deal happened, until I finally came back to him, I was like, hey, this isn't getting any better. They're like, oh, sorry.
Oh, the
law changed. And so that case is closed. So I ended up having to get a workman's comp lawyer out of the deal, and the state settled. It was pennies on the dollar, you know what I mean? Like, it wasn't anything. By the time you pay the lawyer,
right?
He gets his deal, and so I just stay on top of it.
Yeah. Last question. You've given a lot to law enforcement. I can just tell just by meeting you, this story, 2 other shootings. You've given a lot to law enforcement. What has law enforcement given to you?
It's given me an environment to serve. They've given me an environment. I don't even know why I'm getting emotional. That was unexpected. I think we're called to do something in our life, right? And I was fortunate enough to have that calling early. And this has provided an environment for me to feel like my life is worth something. And like I don't do it for any person other than God. That's who I do it for. I don't look for accolades. I don't look for attaboys. I get my own pleasure, self-respect just by doing the job, man. Like, and that's, I feel like I just, I provide a service. And, I never served in the military, but I can only imagine that's kind of how those guys feel too. When you give so much to your country, and you're not looking to get anything back. I'm not looking to get anything back out of this deal. I do this because that's what I was called to do, and that in itself is its own reward. And so when my time comes to, to retire, I can hold my head high and say, I did the best I could. I put the hours in that nobody saw. I sacrificed so much family time. I sacrificed relationships. I sacrificed money. I sacrificed so much. And it was all for a service that I believed in and what I was called to do. And that within itself is its own reward, because I wouldn't want my life to just be in a place where I'm in limbo. I don't know what my purpose is. I go to this job, I hate it. I'm always looking for my purpose and I never find it. So for God to bless me, this very sinful person, to put me on in this environment and bless me so many times when I shouldn't have been, and let me do the things that I do in his glory, man, that's the only thing I need. That's it, so I'll forever be grateful for that.
Beautiful answer. And for somebody to walk away at the end of their life to get that, you're blessed. So, man, thanks for being here today. It's great to meet you. I love you, man. If there's anything that we can do for you at any time, you let me know.
Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it.